Order this informational hearing from the subcommittee on modernizing government of the Senate Committee on Governance and Finance. Appreciate all those in attendance today and the millions who are watching online. Okay. Here's the purpose of the committee. And here's the reason why we started out with this particular case study. It's both the recent modernization reforms of the Department of Motor Vehicle and also the case study on the traffic amnesty implementation process. But I want to start with the big picture, which is why did leadership allow us to form this committee and what is its underlying purpose? The truth of the matter is California is, in many respects, at the cutting edge of technology. And technology has proven to be an extraordinary asset for everyday Californians to access all sorts of services. You can reserve a table at Open Table. You can look at movie reviews, go down the list of what happens. And we see the statistics, something like 90%, some huge number of folks that are looking to apps for purposes of gathering information, and particularly the younger generations that relates to government are using this electronic interface to access government. And so our job, it seems, if we're going to be a place where we are going to mirror the technological advancements and extraordinary benefits that customers get, it should also extend to government. We need to really be vigilant with respect to making sure that we're doing what we should be doing in that regard and providing a kind of a customer-friendly approach to government, particularly as more and more people are getting used to this new kinds of technology. So basically, and we start out with the Department of Motor Vehicles. Now, the Department of Motor Vehicles, as we all know, has been the butt of many, many jokes for many, many years. The Simpsons certainly talk about the folks on that, I guess it's Patty and Selma, I don't know, that's what Mr. Bedard told me. I don't really watch The Simpsons, but basically these folks work at the DMV and underperform. There's a movie called, how do you put it, Zootopia? Zootopia, where literally sloths work at the DMV, right? I mean, the DMV has an image problem. And it is what it is. But the fact of the matter is it's been pretty significant in terms of the changes. Some good, always room for improvement. Certainly their approach to don't stand in line but go online has been relatively successful with respect to their efforts to try to move away from this horrible, horrible image. You got 33 million Californians who own 33 million cars, 25 million folks in California with licenses. It's an extraordinary undertaking. We in the legislature and the executive branch have dramatically increased obligations for the Department of Motor Vehicles. Was it AB 60 and a whole host of other further obligations that we've imposed upon the DMV. And the truth of the matter is that they have done a pretty good job in terms of dealing with a lot of the existing challenges and taking and extending their new responsibilities. They have really been the front line. So what we want to do here today is to start out and to really look at the DMV's practices to see if there's any, A, to get some insight in what they've done, B, is there benefits that we can impart to other agencies and the services that the state provides, and what are the things we can do to improve what the DMV does. This is going to be kind of a long focus of this committee because it's an ever vigilant process. I mean, we see what computer technology is and what the rate of change. It's nothing that's extraordinary. When I served in government before, Google didn't exist. You know, I mean, it's crazy how what the rate of change is, and we all see it every single day, and what our reliance is on this new technology. So, with respect to the DMV, our first panel, we can have them step forward. Stephanie Doherty from the DMV Chief Branch Chief for Enterprise Planning and Performance, Blanca Castro from the AARP of California, and John Thomas, who's the founder and CEO of Pay It. John, I understand, has come all the way from Missouri, right? How many planes did you have to take? Are there direct flights? Just two. Well, that's good. That's good to hear. Excellent. And why don't we start off with, if we could, anything else?
Do you guys have things you wanted to put up, DMV?
DMV one, you want to put up something? And I want to access your website online. I want to see how good it works. Let's hear real-time service. I want to see what you do, not just what you tell us, but I'm going to be a customer today, and I'm going to see how easy it is to operate this, because that's what counts. First thing is, does the legislature have access to Wi-Fi? Okay. Okay, well, Stephanie, you want to start?
Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting the California DMV to share some of our recent experiences and focus on enhancing service delivery to our customers. As you mentioned, I am the Chief of Enterprise Planning and Performance of the department, and with me today is Robbie Crockett, our Budget Officer.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't introduce you. I apologize, Mr. Crockett.
No problem.
Okay.
I thought before I dive into some of the great work we've been doing at the department, I might give you a little bit of background on us as an organization. We have about 10,000 employees who work at our headquarters location in Sacramento, as well as 174 field offices, 3 call centers, and other locations throughout the state.
And that 10,000 is system-wide, enterprise-wide?
Correct, that is department-wide.
Yeah, okay.
On an annual basis, our call centers handle about 17 million calls. Our field offices process about 27 million transactions, and about 14 million transactions are done online. So you can.
And do you do any tracking to determine customer satisfaction? Because I just got my license reviewed at DMV the other day, and I'm a customer.
That's great. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we do have several survey mechanisms where we look to capture satisfaction from our customers. So we have an online "How are we doing?" survey. It's a simple one-question survey where people can tell us how satisfied were you with your experience, and then there are some secondary questions where, depending on the service channel, we capture feedback.
And what's the follow-up on that? What happens? Now they go and make a comment and said, "I'm happy as a clam," or "You're a bunch of rat finks." What happens to that information?
We actually do have dedicated teams at the department. My team is one of them. We review all of the survey responses.
Is that public, like Yelp?
We don't necessarily publish our survey data, but it's very helpful for us. For example, we may have customers who comment that they're finding a specific part of our website that it's hard to navigate. Perhaps the content wasn't easy to understand. They had trouble clicking through to complete their transaction. We're able to mine that customer feedback and go ahead and immediately implement improvements to our website itself.
Did you see that the President of the United States did a Yelp-type approach where you have review federal agencies? Have you had a chance to look at that and compare it and see whether that would be applicable to you?
But definitely. I mean, it would be interesting. Right now, our customers are actually going out and reviewing us on Yelp. If you search Yelp for specific field office names, I shouldn't have mentioned that, then you'll actually see customers who have written.
It's a real-time hearing, you know.
Written Yelp review.
You do not hesitate.
They're also giving us real-time.
Do the Van Nuys office and let's see what it says of the.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. No, they're also giving us real-time reviews on
truth will
Facebook,
set you free.
on Twitter. One of the posters we brought are just some of the very positive tweets that customers have sent out after interacting with the DMV, whether that's in a field office or completing the online transaction. One of them.
Did you give us any of the bad ones?
There are also bad ones out there, that's true.
Of course.
And we have a team that's monitoring social media. They're going through, in particular, if a customer has a concern about a specific transaction they're trying to process with a department. So someone will tweet out, "Hey, I'm in the military, stationed overseas. How do I renew my driver's license?" We'll actually direct message that customer and go ahead and work with them to resolve their issue. So in that instance, social media has been a mechanism for us to actually provide service to our customers, not just a mechanism to push out information one way. So as I mentioned, we do have a very high volume of transactions that we process every year. We touch a significant number of Californians as we help them register their vehicles, obtain a driver's license, an identification card. So we really understand that in many ways, we are the face of state government for many Californians. And a strategic focus of the department over the last few years has really been on enhancing service delivery to our customers. You mentioned in your opening remarks that our customers are doing business with other companies in a much more flexible and convenient way. They are scanning their checks and depositing it into their bank account via an app. They're using a mobile boarding pass to board an airplane. They're doing all of their holiday shopping online from the convenience of their home. And so one of our focuses as a department has been to adopt our service delivery, to adapt it to recognize those changing customer needs and preferences. So a focus of ours has been not only on creating more virtual service options, but convenient service options. We want to give our customers the choice of being able to complete their DMV transaction outside of a field office. One of the pieces that you highlight in your opening remarks were online transactions. We have 20 transactions online. Our first one that we rolled out actually way back in 2000 was the online vehicle registration.
Right.
Since then, we've added other capabilities such as change of address, renewing your driver's license, submitting a notice of release of liability. And we've seen very high adoption and utilization of those online services.
Let me just interrupt you for some good news. This is the Van Nuys office of the Department of Motor Vehicles. Marie H. on 1018 writes, like every other comment about making an appointment, do it because it went really fast, was in and out within 20 minutes. My appointment was for Friday at 3 p.m. to renew my license. I got there 20 minutes early and found parking right away. It was very crowded inside, and there were no seats, which is the same experience I had. But my number got called early, and I was out by 3 p.m. It was very easy, and I had a really nice employee helping me through. Tip, if you are patient and friendly, things will go really smoothly for you. Pretty good review.
Nice review.
Yeah, pretty good review.
Definitely.
Okay, well, there you go.
So,
Good news, bad news, it's got to tell it. Okay, that's good news. Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just figured you want to hear that.
no, I think that's
Lighten the
great. That's
presentation.
great. So as I said, we really are understanding that our customers are online and increasingly mobile. A focus over the last few years has been developing online services that appeal to the mobile-ready customer. So we know that customers are no longer just accessing the internet via that traditional desktop PC. They're using tablets, they're using smartphones. Our DMV Now mobile app, which we rolled out a few years ago, gives both iPhone and Android users several DMV features and services. That includes finding a local field office, renewing their vehicle registration. They can take sample questions on the DL written exam, and they can access other DMV information and videos. Since we rolled out the DMV Now mobile app, it has been downloaded a little over 1.1 million times. So we're seeing a lot of interest in that. The other work that we've been doing is just to make our website more mobile friendly and more mobile ready. So we're migrating that content to a responsive design. So a lot of times, if you access a website via smartphone, if it's not formatted to recognize the device, then maybe the content's very hard to read. You have to pinch and pull or scroll back and forth to be able to access all the content.
Have you looked at other jurisdictions that have departments, similar departments around the world, and compared what your performance is to theirs? Have you done that?
We're very fortunate. We're part of the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators. So we have strong working relationships with other DMVs throughout the country. We are definitely leading in a lot of areas, particularly.
And how do you know that to be true?
I think from our conversations with other jurisdictions, when we exchange lessons learned, when we go to conferences and we hear what other jurisdictions are working on, we also do benchmarking against other jurisdictions to see what services they're offering.
Are there any organizations out there that do this kind of benchmarking that's independent of your own opinion?
There is not necessarily an independent benchmarking organization, okay. Correct. So some of the other alternative service channels that we've rolled out, just again, that convenience of not having to go to a field office. We have our mail, our phone, our business partners are a very robust program. We have seen a lot of success in customers adopting and using all of those alternative service channels. Last fiscal year, 82% of our vehicle registration renewals were completed using one of these alternative service channels. And last year, of the folks who were eligible to renew their DL online or via mail and phone, 78% of those folks chose to renew their driver's license outside of a field office. So you can see that we're really focused on customer convenience, making it easier to do business with the DMV. A few other examples that I might highlight for you is our very successful self-service terminal program. So we know that there are customers who, rather than renewing online and waiting a few days to receive their tag, they'd like to go in and get their tag instantly that day. Our self-service terminal is it's like an ATM-like kiosk, which is available in 50 field offices. It offers prompts in both Spanish and English. Our customers can pay via cash, credit card, and check. They just progress through a few screens, and in a matter of seconds, they have their reg card and their tag in hands, and they're able to leave with the product in hand. We also know that our customers, for various reasons, will still need to come into a field office. They'll still need to make a phone call to our call center. So we're focused on enhancing that service experience. I think that Yelp review just spoke to the power of making an appointment, and that has been a concerted focus. Our appointment customers have significantly shorter wait times. One of the ways that we're trying to boost that appointment strategy is through our appointment notify system. So customers may make an appointment 6 weeks in advance. They may forget that they've made an appointment with the department. So 3 days before, they get a call that reminds them of the time, date, and location of their appointment. They have the option to reschedule if that's not convenient to them. Similarly, we know that folks calling our call center may not want to wait on hold, so we offer a virtual hold option. They get the estimated wait time. If they decide that's more time than they have available that day,
They'll call you back.
They can leave a callback number.
Yeah,
and
most private companies do that.
lots of private companies do that. We rolled that out a few years ago, and that's another area.
Have you done other things that have you looked at best practices in terms of the private sector? Because, you know, there's certain companies you call up, it's horrible. Some people are just incredible in how brilliant that they are on the follow-up. Or do you have an automatic notification system that reminds you of your appointment?
That's our appointment notify system. That's the reminder call.
Is it a call, or is it a tweet, or is it an email, or anything?
Currently, it's a call.
It's a call.
Yeah.
I see.
We also do offer email reminders for vehicle registration renewals, so people can register to get those reminders 30 and 77 days in advance, in case you happen to have put that paper renewal notice someplace else in your home. And then another area of focus for us is really around customer education and outreach. So you mentioned engaging employees and changing the perception of state government. We have developed a very robust social media program, and I think that social media program gives us an opportunity to be a little bit more playful in how we interact with customers. We regularly post to Facebook. We tweet out both DMV-related information.
And what kind of following do you have on those?
Right, we actually have we have 17,000 followers on Twitter. We have over 25,000 followers on Facebook. And we actually get that boost then of folks who will retweet what we've tweeted out. So it's that information is just continuing to go out through the world of social media. Our YouTube channel, we have over 200 videos on there. It's everything from top 10 reasons that people fail their drive test to rules of the road. And in the lifetime, they've had over 39 million lifetime views of those videos. One of the video series we have out there is a DMV Answer Man in both Spanish and English, and it's a very lighthearted way of educating customers on how to complete common transactions. So we've had a lot of success, and that's a video series that's entirely written and produced and created by DMV staff.
Is there a wish list? I mean, this sounds really good, right? I mean, I'm not really impressed by 17,000. Those could be your employees. But you know, but I do think the YouTubes and those things are really smart, and there are efforts to try to reach out. And if they don't work, you know, one of the things that we have a challenge in government when you deal with this whole issue of, hey, Madam Chairwoman, CalWorks is a good example of what happened. Actually, we have the chair of the committee from way years ago, but you know, one of the great challenges that we have in government is we can't make mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. We in elected office go and we'll go and call a press conference if some department made a mistake when you're trying to fix a problem, right? In the private sector, you make mistakes all the time. When one of the reasons we have such a big problem with technology in the government is because everybody wants to add everything on it. It's never going to work, and there's a mistake. I'm telling you, every private sector company has a zillion mistakes. They just don't publicize it because it adversely affects their interest. It's just the cost of doing business. Mm-hmm. It's the nature of experimentation. It's the nature of technology. So I applaud you if you're willing to take those risks on these various things. It's great. Now, Do you have a wish list of some sort of other things that you're looking to do that you have yet to implement that you've been able to observe, whether from other departments or other private sector things as you're looking forward to be inventive and creative in all of this?
Oh, definitely. We're actually right in the middle of our strategic planning process right now. Some things are planned for the future. For example, we would love to expand the capabilities of the self-service terminal program, put additional transactions on there, potentially make them available in non-field office settings.
Yeah, I mean, a shopping center, right? Places where people go. We're looking at this in the voting world. How do you create an interface with government, whether it's people using mobile apps or making stuff easy for people? And if someone goes to the shopping center, it can get there. I mean, I personally, I only went to the DMV to get my license because I had to. I always go to AAA because I happen to be a member, and it's just a much easier customer experience. They have an appointment, they know what they're doing, whether I'm selling a car, registering a car, or whatever the situation may be. It's just an easier customer experience, right? So anything you can do to make that happen. In voting, Senator Allen and I are working on a measure that basically following Colorado, where you go out and, whether it's in schools or whatever, you have a 14-day period to vote. The underlying purpose is, again, what are Californians, residents in California, what's convenient to them? And how do we take away this stuff? Because to me, my biggest issue is confidence in government. And because we're a monopoly, we have to go the extra mile. We have to be friendly. We have to be extra nice. You know, when I'm at TSA, and it's a federal government thing, and someone smiles at you, 1 out of 1,000 people, I light up because it's nice. I was just in the White House 2 weeks ago on this traffic ticket with Mike Harold sitting back there, and there's this judge who talks all about the security people and how they're part of the experience. When you come to court, you're nervous, and to be nice to people. Our sergeants have to be extra nice. Everybody needs to take care of folks and treat them with graciousness and listen to them and show respect. And at every level, if we can't do that by virtue of our 17,000 employees, maybe we can do it in other ways. So that's a great idea. We should pursue that. Can you? I know I'm going on too long here, but can you do us a favor and give us a list? Because I'd like to share this maybe, like what's the follow-up? How do we make this hearing successful beyond just the 17 million people that are watching it? The way we do it is, let's get together a list. I'd love to see, because this is very insightful and it's very impressive, what you've done, just quick tick marks of what you've done, YouTube's, this, that, ideas, and then where you think you want to go, kiosks. What else are you thinking about in terms of the whole self-service stuff? What are you thinking about in that regard? Any other ideas rather than putting off sites? Let's lay it out. And let's make a budget request. And if we don't get it, let's just keep hammering. But let's try to figure out how to make this more convenient for folks. What other ideas you got?
I'm going to let Robbie jump in here.
Robbie, go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning. So one of the other projects that we're initiating is what we're calling our centralized customer flow, and it deals with our field offices. It's a project that we're still a couple years out, but what we want to do is actually create a mechanism to where individuals that go to our field offices can get in a virtual queue. And so you can actually get in line at the field office either through a PC or a smartphone or something like that, and it'll actually text you as it relates to where you're at in the queue. And you can at that point either say, okay, now is my time, I need to drive to the field office, or hey, I can't make it there in 15 minutes, push me back in the queue. And you can actually push yourself back into the queue. And so that's something that we're very excited about and pushing for, and we think that'll be a huge...
Do you have a diagnostic as to how many of your customers actually have smartphones, or have ability to earn this? Because one of the problems we've got is that rich people can afford these expensive devices versus... Now, we know statistically how many people have smartphones today. It's pretty significant all around the world, so I think it's probably true. But do you have any data on that to make sure that when you implement these things, you're really reaching through all the various stratas of economic society?
I don't have the exact statistics off my head.
You watch for it.
But we did actually, for a period of about 4 years, we went out and we surveyed customers to see did they have access to the internet and how were they accessing the internet. And it's interesting, the last 2 survey cycles, we saw a shift where folks now were increasingly accessing the internet via mobile device. So when you ask them, where do you access the internet and how do you access it, people were saying, I'm no longer using a PC, I'm actually using a smartphone. So we are seeing anecdotally through those surveys that it's more and more customers are no longer investing in that desktop PC. It's more of that they're investing in that handheld device.
And do you have something, I didn't notice it when I was there at the DMV, when I was there getting my license done, but do you have something there that has an ability for folks to download or whatever those things we can either copy it or whatever it may be, like WeChat, that's Chinese, but you know what I mean, where you just simply look at the deal and you can download the app? You have something, what's it?
A QR code.
Yeah, QR code. You have those?
We do have a few QR codes out there. One is, for example, to take you to a link for scheduling your online appointment. We also have posters out where they can scan the QR code to be able to take the customer survey.
They should be in every office and on every kiosk, everywhere, so that that's one of the great ways to expand your population of people who have your mobile app. Well, thank you. I apologize for taking on so much time, but it was particularly interesting, and you did a great job. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Robbie. Okay, Blanca.
Good
ARP.
morning. Good morning, Chairman Hertzberg. I thought you'd have subcommittee members, but you don't at this point. I'm Blanca Castro, and I'm with the Sacramento and California State Office for AARP. I'm Director of Advocacy, and I just want to thank you for inviting us today. So the purpose of my testimony is going to be, I want to provide a general description of the diversity of the 50-plus population that we have here in California. First of all, ARP has about 3.2 million members here in California and approximately 38 nationwide. Our membership spans 4 generations, so they reflect...
Just want to disclose the conflict of interest. I'm one of your members.
Okay. Thank you. And we're not an insurance company. Nearly 40%, 47% actually, of our members are working full-time or part-time. They're business owners, entrepreneurs, they're teachers, they're caregivers, and community leaders. Some of them are at the peak of their earning years, and they are actually comfortable, and they have comfortable standards of living. But then you have the other side that are living alone, and they're struggling just with minimal resources. So as one of the leading organizations that regularly monitors our members' needs, concerns, and opinions, we develop public policies through consistent and an ongoing process and obtaining member input. Before I share some of the recommendations for what we believe states may want to consider as they prepare to serve an older population, I would like to give the committee just a brief overview of what makes this population up. First of all, we're a heterogeneous group. 8 out of 10 of this group, they want to live at home. 83% of baby boomers, they live in suburbia or small towns and in rural areas. But the suburbs were designed to travel by car, leaving people who cannot drive with few alternative options, hence online. However, people over 50, and this is why we need to pay attention, they contribute to the economy in a positive and outsized proportion to their share. Despite being only 31% of the California population, in 2013, the total economic contribution of this group accounted for 36% of California's GDP. People over 50 also make a significant contribution to the workforce, again, representing 30%. So this population will access many more government agencies besides the DMV because of this growing trend that I want to note. Providing care for a family member, partner, or friend with a chronic, disabling, or serious health condition, which is known as family caregiving, is becoming universal. There's about 4.4 million unpaid family caregivers in California, and they alone have contributed about $57 billion to our economy. While family caregivers traditionally have helped with the tasks like bathing, dressing, shopping, and meal preparation, what we're finding is that many of these caregivers are now arranging and coordinating health care, support services, hiring and supervising direct care workers so that they can afford, when they can't afford to hire help. The majority of them, the family caregivers, are working either full-time or part-time. And it's important to note that some of the working caregivers have to make changes in their working life, especially if they can't afford to pay for outside help. Others retire early, they quit their job or give care quit their job so that they can stay home and take care of their family member. The fastest growing groups of seniors in California and around the nation are 80 and older. Latinos and Asians. In addition, women will continue to make majority of our seniors. By 2035, the senior population in California will have increased by 64% to 12 million, up from 7.3 million in 2015. Low-income seniors, about a third of California seniors, they live below the 200% federal poverty level. It's equivalent to about $23,000 for one person and about $31,000 for a couple. Transportation is the vital link that connects older adults to social activity, economic opportunity, and community services. So the ability to be able to age in your home and have access to transportation without that would be compromised. So, as I mentioned, what can government agencies at the state and local level do as they prepare for this growing population?
Right, that's the question.
So
We start with the DMV. Are you happy with them, or the things that they can do to help?
what we found is that there actually, we did seek through a nationwide survey, but more importantly, a state survey, to find out which government agencies our members were accessing, which had positive customer service, and which did they find had some areas to work on. Not surprisingly, Department of Motor Vehicles was on the top, in addition to Social Security and Medicare.
Top in terms of access, the requiring
Interaction.
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 And what was the feedback on how the interface was?
Well, first of all, I want to get to some recommendations that we would like
Please,
to
that's
make.
what I'm looking for.
One of them is that we believe that whenever a government agency, including DMV, is developing any collateral materials, outreach and education materials, that we strongly recommend they test this through their target audiences. And we're talking about 80-year-olds and above. It needs to have large font. It needs to be easy to understand, using graphics, doing a step-by-step on what exactly somebody needs to bring so that they're not going back and forth to complete one transaction.
Right.
Make sure that the materials that they use are both clear and respectful of the various audiences. There's 3 other recommendations. We also strongly recommend that, again, with the step-by-step paper documentation, including who they can speak to, and making sure that they have somebody and an individual that they can talk to as opposed to a phone tree. The third is we have heard that a written complaint process and having a dedicated independent ombudsman to address concerns, especially when somebody is experiencing some significant challenges with completing their transactions. And finally, the fourth theme is providing consistent training across, in this case, the 10,000 employees, remembering that they are dealing with a population that sometimes will be hard of hearing, may not understand, may not be able to read the font. And so training them so that the employees are looking directly at the individuals, speaking to them, because if they can't hear and you're looking down, they're not going to hear what you're saying. So we did seek the input from our state members. It is not a scientifically valid survey. We received about 1,200 responses, all of them in text. Many of what we heard were, we want somebody that we can speak to, individual, rather than a phone tree. Some of the others said that while the online was helpful, they're required to go and have a retest at the DMV, so that they would really appreciate having somebody that can walk them through that process. Many of our members, because we're dealing not just with the baby boomers, but we're dealing with people who, again, lived before there was an internet or even any sort of online access, they don't necessarily use online. So those are great for the Gen Xers and baby boomers and behind them, but it's the population that we're dealing with today that really need that one-on-one interaction with individuals, and they really are looking for somebody that they can speak to, not just in person, but on the phone.